Alright, according to my actual weather meter, negative 13.4 outside, 71.6 here in the house, date 1/18/11:30 p.m. Okay, I pulled my truck. It was in the barn. I pulled it out about 2 hours ago. Here is the exterior temp, and I have an interior temp as well. My inside weather station said it was 14 or 15 below. Looks like it is negative 22 Fahrenheit below. Okay. Oh, it's colder than I thought it would be. The forecast said -5, so that is gnarly. Okay, well, let me hop in and I'll tell you what I'm doing. Okay, so what are we doing? What are we doing here? I talk a lot about preparedness on this channel. I talk about prepared daily driver. I talk about EDC. It's good to be prepared, right? So I am in my Tundra, which is my main prepared daily driver, I call it. I did a video probably a couple months back. You can go and fact check stuff I have in this truck based on that video. I have the truck running right now. So what I'm doing is I'm simulating if you were to get caught in a blizzard or something where you're in your vehicle, hopefully you're prepared daily driver, and you are driving to your destination, but you cannot make it there for some reason and you can't make it anywhere, so you have to sleep in your vehicle. So that's what I'm gonna do. It's very cold outside, so again, I'm running the truck. It's bedtime, so I just came out here. It's 11:40 right now. My wife is in the house, and it was just a cold day in the forecast. So I said, this would be a good day to do the test. I don't have any obligations that I need to do in the morning, so if I have a horrible night's sleep, well, it sucks, but whatever. And if I just get too freaking cold, I probably just won't do it, and you won't have seen this video anyway, so it doesn't really matter. My wife is concerned that I'll die. It's negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit outside, which is wicked cold for Colorado. The forecast said it was gonna be like -5, so I don't know if I'm in some weird cold pocket. My weather station said it was -15 before I headed out. When I got out here, this one said -22. So maybe not quite -22, but certainly at least -15. And so I didn't want to cheat too much. I want to see if I can actually do it. So what I would have normally just gone to the grocery store or whatever in. So all I have is this is just a cotton Henley. This is an Amazon special product. Nothing underneath it, just a little chest hair for warmth. So a single layer and then a jacket. This is a Vertex Integrity jacket. You see me wear it all the time. This is not even a super thick jacket, but it is insulated, so it's got a little bit. I didn't even put on a beanie. And all I have are Vertex Delta Stretch pants and just my regular everyday boots. So I'm gonna sleep in my clothes, obviously, and then in the back seat, I'm gonna see what I have back there. And I didn't put anything else in the truck. Again, if you think I'm lying, I don't really have any reason to lie about this. You can go back and check the video I posted a couple months back showing what I keep in the truck, which is I should have a balaclava back there and a beanie and some hand warmers, an extra pair of socks. I have some snowboard pants. They're not super insulated, so hopefully between my regular pants and those, it's warm enough. I'll probably double up on socks. I will for sure bust into the hand warmers. I'll probably wear a balaclava in addition to this, and I'm pretty sure I put a sleeping bag liner, not a full sleeping bag, but just like a really thin sleeping bag liner that I probably will bundle up in. and that'll be it. I was trying to think of, I don't have an electric blanket or a diesel heater or anything. Like I probably will again if I get really cold. I'll run the truck like it's running now, but I'm gonna try not to run the truck. I'm just gonna try to power through it. Hopefully I just fall asleep and I stay asleep. My wife is very concerned that I won't. So I didn't think too much of this through as far as educational content. So I'm gonna cut over to some lessons learned. I'll film this after I'm done. Hopefully I'm alive, and then cut back to like it's happening. So see you in a sec. All right, so let's have a breakdown of sorts of why I felt like doing this, I guess. And then afterwards, I'll talk about some specific lessons learned for myself and my setup, and kind of just give you an after action report, so to speak. So yeah, it's crazy to go and spend the night in your truck, in your driveway, especially in negative 25 degrees, which I didn't think it was going to be that cold. I was thinking like -5 to -10. So it sounded like a better idea at that point. Negative 25 is cold, for sure. So before I get into it, actually, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, LMNT. It's sponsors like this that allow me the freedom to do stupid videos like this that maybe you guys can learn from, and it's free for you to consume. So LMNT, LMNT, but pronounced element, is an electrolyte drink. So I'm sure you've heard of them or seen them. They work with a bunch of people and are used by professional athletes, Olympians, Navy SEALs, bunch of team guys, basically everyone. It's a perfect formulation developed really by a biochemist to keep you hydrated properly. So what's that mean to a normal Joe Schmo? So I'm a normal Joe Schmo, and I drink a lot of water, maybe too much water. And it's not necessarily the amount of water you drink as much as it is the kind of nutrient replacement, I guess, replenishment. So for instance, I have for the last 6 months or so, not religiously, but have been trying to do intermittent fasting or time regulated eating. Basically I skip breakfast and I don't eat after 8 p.m. essentially, but I wake up in the morning and I'm oftentimes kind of dehydrated, so I'll chug some water. But instead of just chugging water, I have now started drinking LMNT. So it doesn't break my fast because there's no sugar or anything like that, and it replenishes my body to kind of kickstart my day feeling hydrated. So for me, I do that, but if I'm doing some physical activity, exercise and working out, mountain biking, stuff like that, I've always taken an electrolyte supplement drink. And LMNT is one of those types of drinks that, the everyday guy can do. So for a long time, the general idea was salt equals bad. And now a bunch of the new research coming out is salt, well, to a certain point, actually is good, especially for hydration. So LMNT actually has a ton of, I spent way too much time on their blog, actually, answering a bunch of my questions before I accepted the sponsorship, but a bunch of information answering a lot of the questions that you probably have and I had as well. So even if you're not interested in purchasing it or trying it, I suggest spending some time on the blog because it was really insightful for some of the things that I was curious about. So there's that. And then the drinks are actually amazing. I like a little bit of salt, honestly. So I just enjoy, just from a purely taste perspective, I don't like drinking normal water. I'll usually try to add something to it. So even if I'm not taking the full packet of LMNT, sometimes I'll divide it into I'll take a half a packet with water in the morning and then a half a packet later in the day. And I just love the flavor that it adds. My favorite, they have a bunch of flavors. My favorite is actually the raspberry salt. They've recently also added canned beverages, sparkling drinks, and then a new thing that they've added that I actually really like are hot beverages. So if you go to Drink LMNT, that's drinklmnt.com/LLOD, when you check out, you'll automatically get this 8 sampler pack. This is for new or returning customers. Every time you order, you could go to that URL and get an 8 free sample pack. And that'll include some of the ones I'm talking about. So they have a couple of these hot flavors. This one's chocolate salt. And what I've been doing, again, I kind of like salty things, but I've been kind of making a diluted hot chocolate and then adding a whole packet or a half packet of that, and it just tastes like a salted hot chocolate. I don't know. It's delicious though. So I've been supplementing that into some hot chocolate for days like today where it's literally I'm standing out and it's 10 degrees. So I may go back in and make a drink. Anyway, again, drink lmnt.com/LLOD for your free 8-pack kind of sampler with every order you do through that URL. So huge shout out. Thank you to LMNT for sponsoring today's video and allowing me to stand out here in the cold, freezing my balls off so you guys can watch it for free. So the question of why I would be dumb enough to go and sleep in the Tundra. So backtracking a little bit, I'm a channel that enjoys adventure in the outdoors and kind of homesteading and all the things related to it. And a big chunk, even I would say one of the primary elements of my channel is preparedness. So even overlanding is really an act in preparedness, in self-sufficiency, in surviving the elements, stuff like that. And now when I go out, I like a rooftop tent and I like a cozy mattress and I like a 0-degree bag, maybe an electric heated blanket, maybe a diesel heater. Maybe I'm cooking some hot beverages and just standing around the campfire, doing stuff that is enjoyable, but still am surviving the elements. This scenario was where I take, again, another concept on the channel that you'll see a lot is prepared daily driver. So rather than just hopping in the old Corolla that's empty and has nothing in it and has an 1/8 tank of gas and going out into a blizzard, backtrack and think about what you keep in your car, and furthermore, what you're just going out in, like wearing to the grocery store, to be a little bit more prepared, just in case anything happens. This could be you're sliding off a ditch. This could be you get a call from someone and need to flip around and go straight there without going back home or whatever. There's a lot of scenarios where it makes a whole lot of sense to just be a little bit more prepared. So I've done several videos on my prepared daily drivers where I walk through everything I'll keep in the vehicle. You'll actually see that coming up. I'll actually dig into the back seat in this very video and give you a little taste of what's back there, but I don't really go through the whole stuff. I'm only going through the items that would help me sleep in my car. So there's a couple elements here that I want to just break down as a refresher for you guys. So one is just don't go out like an idiot. Like, don't go out into public like an idiot. I'll go to the grocery store. I live in the mountains of Colorado. I go to the grocery store, maybe 10 degrees out, and I see people just like literally walking in flip-flops and shorts. Like, I've seen that. It's not that infrequent for me to see, and I get it. You're in your warm house, you walk into your garage, get in your car is heated, you drive, and then you're only walking 50 feet into the store, and then the store's heated, and then you're only walking, and then you're driving home. So I get that you can handle that, even if it's 10 degrees out. I can handle that. Anyone can handle that for a 50-minute walk. The problem is if that 50-minute or that 50-foot walk changes. If, again, you slide off the road, if the blizzard happens, if a tree falls and you're stuck and you either have to walk back home or you're stuck in your car for a night like I did in this video. So I like to take the mindset of, even if I'm only walking 50 feet, I'm going to dress appropriately in case that comes across. A, it doesn't take much work. B, I'm plenty comfortable. C, why wouldn't I, right? Like, why wouldn't I wear boots when I'm going out and walking through the snow? So I take that approach, and then I try to dress appropriately as well. So in the winter, that's wearing boots, that's wearing pants, that's wearing a jacket. And I won't go overkill. If I'm going to go to a parade and it's going to be 10 degrees outside, I will dress warmer than if I'm going to the grocery store. But if I'm going to the grocery store, I'm not in shorts and flip-flops. So that's what I demonstrate in this video, just going out in kind of the normal attire, but not super bundled up for, preparing diligently to go stand out in the cold. The second element is something that I like to do. You've seen it on the channel in a variety of scenarios, I guess. I don't do them super frequently. I'd like to do them more, and I think I will do them more. But like a get home bag. I've done a video or two where I test the get home bag. I actually grab the backpack, everything that I have in it, and then do a mock scenario where I walk, 15, 20 miles home. And then I can learn some lessons like, oh, this backpack really wasn't that comfortable, or it was digging in here. I really wish I had a water filter because I forgot to pack water and I walked by so many creeks on the way home, or whatever it is. You don't really know until you actually test it. There was one of my favorite experiences I did was at Darcy, Direct Action Resource Center. They had I forget what it was called, but it was kind of a end of the world 3 or 4 day training where you have like water filters and you got to cook your own food and you basically got to live out of a backpack. There's a bunch of force on force and simunition training, and that was awesome, the firearms aspect of it. But it was also to kind of test out your kit in a grid down scenario where you're living out of your backpack. So you have three or 4 days, I forget how many, where you just have to survive on what you could fit into a backpack. And that was a great experience, and I took home a lot of lessons. That's another video I did on the channel as well. So, sleeping in my car in freezing cold, while I've done it in a rooftop tent or inside the back of the Lexus or even under the Diamondback cover, I've always done it in the scenario of camping. I'll bring a sleeping bag, and maybe it'll be a minimal setup, but I at least have a pad and a sleeping bag, and I'm relatively comfortable, but I'm set up. In this scenario, I had nothing. It was just me sleeping in the truck. Now, sleeping in a truck, people have done it all the time. I've done it myself. I've taken naps on road trips at gas stations or side of the road or whatever. Like, I've slept almost everyone has slept in their vehicle at some point for a short or an extended amount of time. So that's not really anything new, but this scenario, I said, oh, it's actually it'll be the coldest day of the year. I have some time. And again, I was expecting -5, maybe -10, and it was -25. But so I said, okay, let's just test it out and see what happens. Now, in this scenario, in what I was, basically testing out was, say a blizzard happens or some road obstacle and you're on a road and you can't backtrack or whatever. I've built a vehicle with self-recovery, with bigger tires, with armor, with capability to hopefully never get in a scenario like that. I'm hoping that I can always drive through a median or drive around some roadblock. Or the idea of the prepared daily driver is to have something that will always be able to get me home. In the event I can't get home, my next option would be, how long am I going to be stuck here? What's the weather outside like? And how long is my walk home? Then it would be walking home. That's the go bag scenario. I'm going to just walk home. So I have a go bag and some equipment in the vehicle for that walk home, for that get home scenario. And then the third scenario is one that I haven't actually tested formally. And that's okay, this roadblock is going to clear up probably, or it's just too cold or whatever. The weather is too bad for me to want to walk. So let me sleep in the vehicle. And that was this scenario. So that is what's happening here. So we'll get into the experience in the vehicle, and then we'll sync up back here after that for specifically some lessons that I learned. Okay, so we're back, same place I was before the cutover, but basically I think I'm gonna get the little sunshade, my windshield sunshade out and put it in. I don't think it won't add any R value, but it may stop some of the radiant heat. I'm planning on sleeping in the passenger seat and leaning it back so I have a little more room. I'm gonna try that. If not, I may just sleep in the back bench seat. I'm not parked super flat. There are flatter spots in my driveway I could have parked, but I was like, I'm not in the gnarliest spot, but like, again, if I'm stranded on the highway, it probably won't be perfectly flat. So a little bit of an angle. In the back seat, I don't think I really have anything back there. I have a car seat. I have this water bottle that I actually was looking for. I left it in the car, and then I brought a water bottle as well. So I'll take that car seat out. Well, it's just a car seat base. And then get into what I have under the seat. So let's get to it. Okay, so we got hand warmers, which I'm gonna use for sure. And then we got like inverter bags. So this was the sleeping bag liner that I added. I don't think I've even taken it out of the thing. This is actually, yeah. So I've had sleeping bag liners that were more like a flannel or a fleece or a jersey knit. This is really more like your very thin, it's not silk obviously, but that kind of texture. So this will not add much to the kit, but I'm gonna get that out. Other than that, I do have food, a jet boil, a whole get home bag. I think I have a rain shell in the get home bag, but I don't think I really need anything out of there. Otherwise, there's jump starter, saw, a bunch of stuff I don't need. This is really a rain shell. I don't think I'll use. This is another jacket. This is an insulated jacket. So I may double up my jacket. I'm not sure yet. So some good things we have back here. Balaclava with some goggles in there. And then we got a beanie. I think I'll wear the balaclava and no beanie and then throw the hood on if I need it. So got the balaclava, and then over here there's some more stuff. So let me put this seat down. What I'm realizing I unfortunately don't have in here is a pair of thicker winter gloves. So gloves would have been nice because I would have just worn gloves while I slept. I have some mechanics and some little gorilla kind of knit gloves in my front mat pocket, but usually I have a set of winter gloves. I must have taken them out when I was doing something back here. So that is an unfortunate loss. I have a poncho down here. I don't think I'll use that, but maybe I'll use this. This is a Turkish towel that, it's not really a blanket either. It's like a very thin towel, but maybe I'll use that for something. And then these I for sure will use here. Again, this is not very insulated, but a pair of old worn through snowboard pants. And then I do have a set of boots. I'm gonna put the camera down because I got to get in there. I have an extra pair of socks. Oh, I do have some winter gloves. Nice. Okay. All right, sweet. Well, these aren't super wintry, but some fingerless gloves that do have the fold over mitt portion. So these will actually be perfect because I can throw a hand warmer in the mitt portion and stay nice and warm. Still, if I was having to do anything outside in the snow, these wouldn't be a good option as much as like some real winter gloves, but extra pair of socks in there, and I think that's it. So I'm gonna gear up a little bit. All right, I think I'm gonna be all right. So car's still running, obviously. Like I think I mentioned earlier, this is a good reason that you want a half tank of gas. If you need to run your car on and off to heat things back up or whatever, if you have the gas, you can do it. So right now I'm comfortable. Like right now, completely comfortable, but I'm not gonna run the car all night. I'm gonna try to make it through the night without running the car. We'll see how it goes. So the car now, so we're at negative 22.2 outside. The truck is now 34 degrees inside, but I feel like it's 60 degrees in here. So I'm pretty comfortable. So I'm gonna put the balaclava on, the double up on the socks, get the gloves going with the hand warmers. I'm gonna start with just this jacket and just this. I took my belt off and I gotta take the rest of the stuff out of my pocket, so I just kind of get comfortable. But this will vary between, you know, your vehicle and how comfortable you are and what size you are or whatever. I think laying in the back seat with my legs kind of crunched up wasn't great. I'm fully reclined in the passenger seat, and if I pull the headrest almost all the way out, my head kind of goes right into this little notch, and that's actually pretty comfortable with me. So I think I'm gonna start the night out here anyway and see if I can get some sleep. And if so, awesome. All right, I'm honestly feeling pretty good about this right now anyway. Truck's off. It's cooling off pretty fast. I probably look a little stupid right now with this balaclava on. I cracked open a couple of hand warmers, and I was like almost sweating getting ready for bed. I hope I don't have to pee. That's kind of the main thing. Yeah, I peed. I usually drink a pretty big glass of water before bed with magnesium, and I did do that. And so that's the only thing I wouldn't have if I was stranded in a car is magnesium. That'll hopefully help me sleep a little better. And yeah, I'll let you know this. I don't know that my camera will work once it gets super cold. I have my big camera here. I'm probably going to put my cell phone in a pocket so it stays warmish, and so the morning clip may be filmed on my cell phone if this camera's not working, but I'll try and do it on this camera as well. And if I wake up through the night and there's anything to speak to, or I make an adjustment, or I end up in the backseat, I'll try to film that as well. But otherwise it may just be a morning. I mean, if things go well and I just fall asleep and I'm out until the morning, which I'm hoping will happen, then I'll give you a little morning update as I'm getting up. But yeah, feeling pretty good about it. I don't think I'll sleep great just because it's not super comfortable, but like I'm feeling like warm right now. So, all right, wish me luck. It's 2:30. It's freezing cold. 2:34 in the morning. I am cold. I started the truck. I get a little warm, and hopefully I can go to sleep once I'm warmed up a little bit, but it is colder than I thought it would be. It is bitter cold. So yeah, thawing out a bit, and hopefully I'll be able to get back to sleep. That was cold. This is the next day right now. It's still cold. It's 10 degrees outside right now. So what I learned in that video was that actually I failed that little challenge, so to speak. Now, I didn't need to, and you know, I was contemplating a few things last night while I was miserable in the backseat of the vehicle. One was just power through it. I didn't. I actually failed that. Not because I couldn't have done it, and you can rip me in the comments if you want, whatever. But I was not expecting it to be that cold. So yeah, we'll say I failed it, but I learned some lessons through it. One was I could have absolutely stayed in there, starting the car here and there, or just taking every single jacket I had. So I didn't put on everything I had, and I didn't put on what I found was I put on a couple extra layers, which weren't really made for layering. They were just their own individual pieces. And I was just like so uncomfortable in them that it was just, I didn't go sleep in the truck to have a good time, but it was just like, why am I doing this? Like I've tested it. I found some deficiencies, and I've learned what I needed to learn. So I don't need to make it till the sunrise or whatever. So I quit at 4 a.m. For those that are wondering, 4 a.m. I was like, I was so like bundled in there, stuff pushing on my butt. I had to pee. So I got out and peed. And then again, my wife and 2 babies are in the house, and it was frigid. Again, -25. Now this is a new house, and I didn't really have any worry of it freezing or anything like that. But I was like, this will be stupid if I'm doing this test and I find out if pipe burst because I didn't check it or whatever. So I went in the house and checked some things and threw some more logs on the fire, and then I was like, I'm not gonna go back out. I'm just gonna stay in. So I wussed out a bit, but whatever. I don't really care. I'm a grown man. I can do whatever I want. But the lessons I learned were a rooftop tent would have been sick. So a lot of people bash rooftop tents on daily drivers. But in this scenario, I would have for sure popped the rooftop tent, had a mattress, probably some bedding in there that's already in or on the truck, and I would have been ready to go. Actually, this truck had a rooftop tent on it for a while, and I put it back into kind of daily driver, hauling wood kind of mode, so I took it off. But if I had it on, a rooftop tent would have been a pretty nice thing to have in this scenario. The second thing, I'll grab them actually. So my hands and feet got really cold. I actually don't have great circulation in my hands and feet. I don't really know what it is or why. I never really have. So my hands get colder easier than I feel like they should, and same with my feet. I hate it. It sucks. Like living in a cold environment and not having the circulation in your hands that would keep you warm is like an impairment of sorts. So anyway, my feet and my hands got cold last night, even though I did have the mitts with the hand warmers, and even though I did have 2 socks. The 2 socks with the toe warmer didn't really fit into my boots, so I didn't wear my boots, and I was kind of climbing around the vehicle anyway, so it wasn't great for boots. So my double socks, I was still cold. So I've had these, you've probably seen them in videos in the past. They're probably a variety of brands make them. These ones are from Baffin. They're not down, I don't think. I think they're synthetic, but they're booties that you can, walk around a little bit if you need to, but are wildly warm. And they pack down, they compress down into nothing. So having something like this maybe in the vehicle would have been super beneficial. And so I just had like kind of fingerless fold over mitts. They weren't very warm. It wasn't a great scenario for the hand warmer to really get where I needed it and in my fingertips. So probably I would just put a dedicated pair of like more legitimate mitts in there. The mitts, these ones I like, they don't have the individual finger sections inside of them. So I could actually put my entire hand with thumbs and basically hold on to a hand warmer inside of the finger portion of the mitt. More insulation. My hands and feet, if I just had those 2 things, probably I would have gone ahead and stayed and made it through the night much easier because it was really my hands and feet. But again, it was negative 25 out. So I was cold all over. This was the setup I was wearing right now. I didn't change. It's just this Henley and this jacket. And again, this jacket isn't like a crazy jacket. This is the Vertex Integrity Plus with a hood. The hood was great. I don't have it on right now because it was making noise on the microphone, but the hood is very warm. It fits very nice. So my upper body was okay, but even it was a little cold because I was sleeping and I was either just touched against something or I was compressed, like my whole thing. And then when you compress insulation, it loses R value. So there were certainly some cold spots throughout my body. And again, I just had the pants on and then the snowboard pants. So the snowboard pants I have in there because they kind of have gaiters, they're waterproof. That, when packing gear into your prepared daily driver, I talked about it earlier, I would much prefer to walk home if it was an option. So a lot of the gear I have in there is for the walk home, not for the camp down in the car. So still that would be my primary option in a lot of scenarios, but there are definitely some realistic scenarios where I wouldn't be able to walk home. So the snowboard pants didn't have much insulation. They were more of a barrier against the elements when I'm outside, when I'm walking to keep snow from getting in. I do have a pair of gaiters in there as well. But maybe adding like a synthetic kind of long john under layer in there that's really thin, or I have some puffy pants, some like Patagonia puffy pants or whatever that again pack down really small but add an extra insulation because my legs were quite cold last night as well. So really my whole body was cold. I didn't have a blanket in there, really. I had the towel that just wasn't as big as a blanket. So I started off in the passenger seat, just really couldn't get comfortable, kind of just kept sliding down. And then so I switched to the back seat and just I was curled up, and it's not flat, and there's a pretty good hump in the middle section. I didn't have a pillow. It was just wildly uncomfortable. It was miserable, honestly. So I didn't have a proper sleep setup. So to fix that portion, I don't think I'm going to put like a sleeping mat or a sleeping pad or something in there. Again, if you were in an SUV or something and you could kind of sprawl out and have a flat area, that probably just that, like everything else the same without the booties, probably just being comfortable would have solved it for me. But I had it was very uncomfortable, and I was cold, and I had multiple factors. But if I was able to fix one or the other or all of those factors, I think it would have really been no problem. So cold, I talked about updating that. Sleeping arrangements, there's really not much I could have done to make it better in there outside of, sleep in the rooftop tent. I could have gone and popped the tailgate and slept in the bed. But the other aspect was being able to kick on the car. So there's 2 times that I kicked on the car, one at like 2:30 and then one at 4, and then 4 eventually I just went inside and didn't come back. But at both of those 2 times, I was very cold, and kicking on the car and letting it run for even 15 minutes really reset me. And I was like, okay, my fingers aren't numb anymore. I'm reset. I'm ready to go back at it. So this is where another very important aspect comes into play, especially in the winter climate, is try and stay above a half a tank. I know it's not always reasonable, or maybe it's not always doable. It kind of is always doable, but sometimes it's just a pain, right? But before a blizzard or before you're going to take a drive anywhere, or even on a road trip, I always try to do it where I'm never let below, and I'll sometimes take cans of gas. I've talked about this in previous videos, but I won't get to where I'm even remotely in trouble of not making it like to the next gas station, for instance. Like there's no reason to do that, especially in the winter, in the cold climate. There's no reason to do that. And the reason is I had enough gas where I could have idled the vehicle all night long. That would kind of defeat the purpose of the challenge, right? I'll just be in there running the heater, like sleeping on a heated seat, like anyone could do that. So it didn't feel right to me. But in a survival scenario, if you have the gas for it, then run your vehicle for longer. There's a lot of debate over there, and it depends on the vehicle, on how long you can idle a vehicle, and how it's good for. Obviously, there's a big difference between whether it's diesel or gasoline, especially with the emissions system. So there's some factors at play, but in a life or death scenario, if you have enough fuel, you could idle your vehicle for a pretty long time, and you could stay relatively comfortable. So comfort and heat are the 2 things. Heat, temperature could be solved by adding a few supplementary pieces of kit. And yeah, am I going to change anything in my kit? Probably not much. It's just pretty uncomfortable. I could have survived just fine. This is a scenario that probably won't happen. And if it did happen, I just wouldn't get much sleep, or I would idle my truck longer because I wasn't trying to do a test. I would just be like, well, I'm literally just trying to survive, and I'd rather sleep for 4 hours. So I'm going to, run the truck a little more. So I may put these boots and mitts in there again, or maybe make a little kind of winter kit that I just have specifically that, I'll take out in the summer and put back in the winter. So I may add those 2 things, but I could put like a sleeping bag in there, but down compresses so well, but you're not supposed to leave it compressed for a long time. Synthetic never compresses as much. So to put a legitimate sleeping bag in there that would really check the boxes would take up more space than I have. I could keep it in the bed of the truck, obviously. Like I have a ton of room in there, but I probably won't put a sleeping bag in there. But maybe these mitts and these booties. The hand warmers were huge, though, even though, again, they weren't quite enough to keep me warm. If I combine the hand warmers with these booties and these mitts, I would have been just living the dream, probably. So those are the takeaways. If you're going to do this, be careful. One of the main one of the main things that can kill you. You can die from cold, obviously, hypothermia, frostbite, all that stuff. But if you're parked somewhere, what kills a lot of people, well, I don't know how many people, I don't have the stats on this, but if they're especially in a blizzard or a snowstorm, and the carbon monoxide kills them. So if snow gets in or just compacts it, or there's kind of like a wall built around or a wall built around the tires, and your exhaust is just coming kind of back up under the car or just staying around the vehicle, and you're running your vehicle for a long time, it's the carbon monoxide that'll kill you. So if you're going to test this yourself, just make sure, A, it's not in a garage or something, and B, you're just taking some necessary precautions as far as being too cold. My wife was very concerned that I would just freeze to death and die, like without knowing it. Like my body would just shut down. Your body has a lot harder time regulating heat when you're asleep than when you're awake. When you're awake, especially even now, like I'm not cold because I'm kind of doing stuff. I'm talking, I'm exerting some energy. The blood is flowing more. More breaths are going in and out. My heart rate is probably higher. So my body is just staying warm better. But I'm pretty sure if you're too cold, I told her I'll like wake up shivering, freezing, like long before I just die because my body got too cold and shut down. Like I'm healthy, and like maybe if I was out stuck in the cold for 7 days and maybe I would just die in my sleep. But I don't think that would really happen. I'm not a doctor or anything, so don't take this as medical advice and go out there and say, Mike said I wouldn't die, because I don't know, you might. But I had pretty strong suspicions that I wouldn't. Anyway, that was the video. I wouldn't say it was fun, but there's a part of me that likes the whole survival aspect. And again, I get it, guys. I did it in my driveway. There was no real survival aspect. I'm not claiming that there was, but just the act of testing gear and testing a scenario and coming away with a better understanding of, okay, is that plausible that I survived that, or is it not? Do I need to add something or do I not? Like, I like going through the motions for that. So this was a good one for me. It's a good learning experience. Technically, I failed, but I could have easily made it through. Like, it wasn't a problem. I just would have been uncomfortable. But I felt like I'm a grown man with kids and stuff to do, so might as well just get a little nap in. So that is that. Let me know down in the comments below if you enjoyed it, if you have any feedback or tips, or also like what other scenarios like this that you'd like to see, like in the preparedness sphere, I guess, because I like doing them. I don't know that you guys love watching them just because it's kind of weird, but maybe you do. We'll see how this video does, and if I do more of it, or if I revise and do an updated thing, or try something different. That might be fun. Cool. Well, yeah, it was not a record-breaking cold day, but it was cold. I planted all these trees this summer that are rated for my zone, but technically my zone is not supposed to get that cold. So some of these trees say they can survive down to like -10, and they may all be dead, and it may be another failed orchard experiment. So we'll see. Sorry, I haven't been watching this. I should have aimed this camera up a little higher. So cool. Hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, until next time, guys, take care. Oh, also, one last thing before I go. These just dropped. So this is my flannel that I designed with Vertex, the last line flannel. These just released. It's an update to the flannel with 3 new colors, and then we brought back this color. So this is like a black and gray. It's kind of like a green and gray. And this is kind of a reddish orange and green. These are largely the same as the previous gen flannel, just now added some spandex, and they are stretch. So hand pockets, snap closures, all the hidden pockets, the inner chest pocket, the little sunglass or pen pockets, thick, substantial flannel, but now even more comfortable than ever because we added stretch. So these are available right now. As always, you can use my code LASTLINE to save 15% or more off. Sweet.